Doster talked about a lot, didn't he? He won't fight this, he won't fight that. Who's a coward now, coward? Who's a shithouse now? You useless.
Very difficult fight for him. It's a very difficult fight for him. He can't afford to bite on Itauma's triggers and feints. He's got to land something early to get some respect off of Moses as well. And it's called the body snatcher. I think he's got to dig that body. He's got to try and take away the sharpness from Itauma by investing early doors.
I don't know what kind of game he's playing outside the ring, but I know he's lost a lot of weight. He's taking this fight serious, and he's coming to obviously trying to ruin the party. So it's obviously my job.
Tyson Fury is not holding back here. He is practically demanding Moses to go inside the ring and give Dillian Whyte the most brutal beating of his career, with no rest, no breathing room, and just constant pressure until Whitey's legs give out. And as what completely breaks, this is Fury telling Moses to make him regret ever signing that contract.
He's one of the best of all time. I really do. I think he's one of the best heavyweights of all time. And his movement is so different. One of the things that was interesting, where they were talking about the fight, and AJ Tony Bellows was talking about when he fought him, and AJ was saying that when he fought him, it was the most exhausted he's ever been. Because he's always moving. There's no rest with him.
Tyson Fury cannot praise Moses Itauma enough. He is a good fighter. He is big. He is strong. He is tough. He is game. He has a good punch on him. And he is definitely a man that needs a lot of respect. But respect aside, Fury knows Moses has the tools to dismantle a worn-down Dillian Whyte, who is slower, more hittable, and carry miles of damage, making Whitey the perfect target for Moses to bully, batter, and finish in ruthless style.
It's going to be interesting to see how much that Dillian Whyte has left. And could this be potential? I think it does have the potential to do what Martin McCauley did to Jared Anderson. Maybe it's too early, or maybe he passes with flying colours. And that's why you got to watch it and find out. But one thing I will say about Moses is he's a very good fighter, good little boxer, good puncher, and a lovely kid as well. It's like
Moses makes it clear that an early knockout is the plan, but he is ready for the long haul. As he said before, the best chins are the ones that do not get tested, because the true aim of boxing is to hit and not get hit, while Whitey's chin has been tested and shattered far too often.
Can get guys out in the first and second round, then why not? If anyone was to see how I train in camp, like for this fight, I've done one 6-rounder, 2 6-rounders, 2 8-rounds, and the rest have been 10s.
And the praise for Moses does not stop there. Even Eddie Hearn cannot hide how highly he rates the young heavyweight, and his respect for Moses is crystal clear. He says, "I love Dillian, but I do expect Moses to win in great style, because he sees the pedigree, the talent, the hunger, and deep down Hearn knows Whitey's battle-worn body cannot cope with the speed, the power, and the relentlessness that Moses will bring on fight night."
If they keep winning, yeah. I mean, look, Moses is an exceptional talent. He's been in the game a long time. He's got a very long-standing amateur record and pedigree.
As Whitey tries to play it off with humor, even saying, "As a kid, my dad used to say random stuff. Everyone wants to go to heaven, but no one wants to die. And long story short, I believe in myself, but confidence alone will not save him from Moses Itauma against this Godzilla." As Whitey looks more like a bystander about to get crushed under a storm of punches.
I'm fighting Godzilla.
So what are you then if he's Godzilla?
I don't know. There's small people in the Japanese movie that runs around when Godzilla is trampling Tokyo town.
The civilians.
I'm one of them.
Fraser Clark can feel that this fight is not built for the judges, because Moses Itauma is a man for the big stage, and headlining only fuels that fire. While Clark stays cautious about overexcitement, the truth is Moses has ice in his veins, and this is not some untested novice, but young, cold-blooded finisher who's been dismantling grown men since he turned pro against Dillian Whyte, and the statement Clark speaks could come in the form of the savage, early stoppage, the type that echoes through the heavyweight division, as which durability has been slipping for years, and the first heavy shot from Moses could set the tone for a short, brutal night. And Clark knows that the fans know it, and Moses is not just here to win. He is here to send a message that no heavyweight, young or old, is safe from him.
I don't know Moses personally. I've spoken to him a few times, but I think he's definitely a man for the occasion. And I do think, with him being a headliner, I hope he doesn't get too excited and not do his usual job. But I think if he wanted to make a statement, and I think he's well capable of doing.
Even boxing analysts question whether Moses can maintain his pace beyond the early rounds. But the bigger doubt is if Whitey will even last that long, as Dillian Whyte highlights that Moses Itauma has not been pushed past the second round in his last 8 fights, because no opponent has survived long enough to test him. So while the gas tank debate might seem valid on paper and truth, we may never get the answer against Dillian Whyte, since Moses, with his speed, his footwork, and his sharp punch selection, overwhelms rivals before stamina can play any role, and Whitey's only chance is to drag this fight into deep waters. But that path demands he absorbs clean, precise shots just to reach there. And at 36, with the wear and tear, countless wars his chin and reflexes are a shadow of their former self. So while Dillian Whyte wonders about round 6 or 7, the harsh reality is that the fight could be over by round 2, because Moses does not need to prove endurance if he intends to drown Whitey before the deep end even comes into view.
Boxer, I was like, you've not gone past 2 rounds in the last 8 fights. So you've just been 1 round or 2 rounds. So is the gas tank still there? Moses is known for his speed and his footwork. How does that look at round 6 or 7? Like, when you've landed on someone and they've not fallen over or bowled over, what does that look like now? And there are levels in boxing. Like, even at world level, there are like several levels within world level.
Even big voices in combat sports like Joe Rogan are taking notice of Moses' rare skill set. And when Joe Rogan calls your abilities total next level, you know you are operating in rare air. Because Rogan is not just impressed, he is predicting a different, sharper, and more dangerous Moses Itauma than we have ever seen, with the movement, the angles, and the feints that turn big punchers like Dillian Whyte into frustrated fighters who miss and make mistakes. And against Moses, a single mistake can be fatal. As Whyte may try to bully his way in, but Rogan's analysis shows why that is risky, since Moses does not just evade, he punishes. And those unbelievable angles mean Whyte could be swinging at shadows while taking lightning fast counters, because this is not just speed versus power. It is youth, IQ, and precision against an aging brawler who has already been figured out, and Rogan sees what many already believe, that Whyte could be stepping into a showcase performance for Moses, one that etches his name even deeper into the heavyweight conversation.
So he's got just unbelievable movement, his angles, the way he boxes, his fucking feints and movement.
Gareth A. Davies is spot on, because if Dillian Whyte wants even a sliver of an edge, it has to come before the fight starts, since inside the ring the skill, the speed, and the power of Moses Itauma will be far too much for him. And that is why Davies suggests Whyte should try turning the fight into a psychological battlefield, perhaps by launching a verbal or even physical assault at the press conference. But even in that arena, the odds remain stacked, because Moses does not seem like the type to be rattled. And in fact, any attempt to get in his head might only fire him up more. So while Whyte can bark and posture all he wants, once the bell rings, no mind games can block a straight left of the jaw. And if this is truly his only route to victory, then it is a desperate one. Because although Davies is right about the strategy, he is wrong about the outcome, as Moses will walk through any mental warfare and deliver the physical kind in return.
Thinking about this earlier, Umar, and I was thinking that next week in Riyadh, Dillian needs to try and get in Moses' head in the fight week. And that might mean an aggressive assault at the press conference. It might mean
Derek Azora does not sugarcoat anything, as he says Dillian Whyte's odds are worse than hitting the jackpot, because Moses Itauma at just 24 already carries the poise of a seasoned champion, and trained by one of the best. His footwork, his timing, and his shot selection are years ahead of his age, while Cazorla knows how brutal heavyweight reality can be, and he is calling it straight that Whitey is walking into a fight he is not equipped to win, and that lottery line is not disrespected, is reality, since the gap in speed, reflexes, and freshness is massive, because while Moses is climbing, Whitey is only clinging on, as every exchange will feel heavier for Whitey, and every movement harder to match, and Cazorla has fought them all, so when he says you have virtually no chance, it is because he has seen the gap in class, and he knows this is more than a fight, it is a changing of the guard.
Boxing a guy who's 24 years old, who's got his always faculties right, getting trained by one of the best trainers in the United Kingdom. And then, mate, it's like you got more chance of winning the lottery than you beating that Moses Itauma.
Let's be honest, White's manager clings to hope by saying that if Dillian gets it right, he can beat any heavyweight. But the real problem is, when was the last time Whyte truly got it right against a relentless, sharp, and hungry Moses Itauma? Because even a perfect night might not be enough, since mental strength matters. But so do reflexes, speed, and the ability to take a punch. And White's chin has already been tested, and failed against Joshua. Povetkin and Fury, while Moses will test it again with A. Different flavor of accuracy and volume that forces mistakes. And getting it right against a fighter who never stops moving and punishes every lapse is not just hard, it is almost impossible, as the truth is Whyte's path to victory is narrow and nearly invisible, while the route for Moses is wide open, whether by outboxing him, outworking him, or crushing him early. And while confidence in the corner sounds good, the reality inside the ropes is always brutal.
I believe if Dillian gets it right, he can beat any heavyweight in the world. You know, he's another fighting man that believes in himself, and he's mentally very strong. Mentally very, very strong man. He just has to get it right on the night. And this is the heavyweight business. You know, the fact that he'll be the underdog, that will motivate him and push him to do what he knows that he can.
Simon Jordan captures the intrigue by saying this fight is a truth test for both men, because Dillian Whyte is a former elite in his words. And this night will reveal if he still has anything left at that level, while for Moses Itauma, it is a chance to answer one burning question of how he reacts when someone actually pushes back. But the reality is that no one has managed to trouble him yet, and Jordan wonders if Whyte can be the first. Although the truth is if Moses blasts him out in 2 or 3. Rounds it will not be, because the test never arrived, but because Moses never allowed it. And this is where youth speed and relentless energy collide with age, wear, and fading resistance, as the fight may tell us more about how wide the gap is between the old guard and the new wave, and about Moses stepping into uncharted waters.
Itauma. I mean, Dillian is a former elite fighter. We're going to see if he's still an elite fighter, but we're also going to learn a little bit more about Moses, because if Moses goes in there and blasts him out in 2 or 3 rounds, I don't know what we make of it, but what we want to see is Dillian put it upon Moses and see what the reaction is, because no one has done it, have they, Spence? No one has troubled it.
And as Adam Smith points out, Moses enters as the clear favorite, and for good reason, because Adam Smith frames it perfectly that Saturday night is another chapter in Moses Itauma's boxing education. And he begins as the favorite, since the numbers do not lie, with 12 wins, 0 losses, 10 knockouts, and a flawless amateur record, which is not hype, but proof. And what makes Moses even more dangerous is the respect he commands from the biggest names in boxing, as Fury, Rogan, and other heavyweights have spoken about him in glowing terms, which is not common for a fighter so young and shows the depth of his talent. And against Dillian Whyte, this is not only about keeping his undefeated streak alive, but also about proving he can dismantle a former world title challenger with ease. Since for Moses, this is a kind of fight that accelerates career, while for Whyte, it is the kind of fight that can end one, and the odds suggest it will be more of a coronation than a contest.
Whatever happens next Saturday with Moses Itauma, it's all part of the education. I think obviously he starts as a favourite because of his form. He's undefeated in 12, 10 knockouts, perfect record as an amateur. And I've said many times what I love about Moses is the fact that other great heavyweights talk about him in such glowing terms.
Everything about this fight screams crossroads, because for Moses Itauma, it is a perfect stage to announce himself as the new face of heavyweight boxing, as he is young, unbeaten, feared, and praised by legends like Tyson Fury and Joe Rogan. While for Dillian Whyte, it is last chance territory, since years of wars have taken their toll. And even though his corner insists it can beat anyone if he gets it right, history suggests otherwise. So if Moses wins, and wins big, it becomes a career fast-track moment that cements him as the heir to the throne. But if Whyte shocks the world, it turns into the ultimate redemption story that proves the old guard still is bite. And this fight is not only about punches, but about mental strength, composure under pressure, and who truly wants it more when the lights are brightest, as Riyadh becomes a proving ground where a career trajectory will change forever. So the question is simple: are you backing the young lion Moses Itauma to dominate and retire a veteran, or do you believe Dillian Whyte has one last upset in him? Drop your predictions in the comments, because the debate starts now.